more and more people feel that the world is changing too quickly. We see more and more taxes, less freedom, and more forced narratives in the education of young children. We are increasingly being controlled regarding what we can or cannot say about what is right or wrong, and the cost of living keeps rising. We have to understand that, on average, Spaniards become independent at the age of 30. Some people call all of this the Great Reset, while others simply say they can no longer live the way they used to. In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 countries where many people are finding peace of mind, common sense, opportunities, places with favorable taxes, safety, quality of life, and places where you can still build a peaceful life. These are interesting countries both for people who want to work, who are looking for a conventional job, as well as for entrepreneurs who already have their own project. So if you find this video interesting, give it a like and let's get started. The first country I'm going to talk to you about is Paraguay. Paraguay is a country that's perfect, ideal for those who already have an online business and are looking for nothing more than a simple life, a low-cost life, and the ability to legally avoid paying taxes. Paraguay is a peaceful country, has a good climate, low prices, and very little bureaucracy. Regarding taxes, it has a territorial tax system. What does this territorial tax system mean? Because you'll see that this will come up several times throughout this video. Territorial taxation simply means that when we live in this country, we pay taxes on the income, on the money we earn that is generated within the country. We will only pay taxes on income generated within the country's territory. But if we earn money from abroad, we won't have to pay taxes. To put it simply, if we go to Paraguay and work there in an office or anywhere else, we'll be generating income within the country. So we'll have to pay taxes if we're employed by a local company. But if we go to Paraguay and have an online business that earns money from the United States, from Spain, from Europe, or anywhere else, we won't have to pay taxes as long as we have a proper structure in place. A very popular structure and what people usually do in territorial countries is to set up a company abroad, usually an LLC, a company in the United States. Setting up a company in the United States is cheap, easy, and really straightforward, and also quite fast, relatively fast. So what people do is set up an LLC. From this LLC, this company in the United States, they will run their professional activity, have their e-commerce, their agency, their YouTube channel, whatever it may be. They will generate income with this. And then the income that the LLC earns will be transferred directly to their account in Paraguay. So this money hasn't been generated in Paraguay, but rather in this case, in the United States, and therefore outside the territory. And in this case, you won't have to pay absolutely any taxes. Living in Paraguay is actually quite simple. You need legal residency. And to obtain legal residency, you need your passport, your criminal record, and your birth certificate. This is legal residency, which allows you to live in the country. But then we have tax residency, which determines where you will pay taxes. Obtaining tax residency is also really simple. It's a process that's easy, requires little documentation. And what you have to do is spend 1 day a year if you are a temporary resident, which is basically what most people do. Therefore, obtaining tax residency in Paraguay is something very simple that only requires you to spend 1 day a year there. But with this, we have to be very careful, since there are many people who don't have the right information, or there are people, agencies or things like that will offer to get you tax residency in Paraguay if you pay them a certain amount of money, so you'll have that document. But we need to be very careful. Basically, a tax residency is nothing more than a document in this case from Paraguay that says, okay, this person has to pay taxes in Paraguay. So if the income comes from abroad, they won't have to pay any taxes. But what some people do is get tax residency in Paraguay, but then live all year in Spain or live all year in another country. But no matter how much tax residency you have in Paraguay, if you spend more than half the year in Spain, Spain will tell you that you have to pay taxes there. And even if you show a document from Paraguay, it won't be of any use at all. To be a tax resident of a country is not enough to just have a document. There are other requirements you have to meet. One of the most important is spending more than half the year in that country. Therefore, be very careful with this matter of tax residency. It's not just about getting the piece of paper, but about meeting all these requirements and above all, not spending more than half the year in another country, because that's when problems will start. The next country I'm going to talk to you about is Panama. Panama is an ideal country for entrepreneurs. It offers us modern infrastructure, a tropical climate, and excellent air connections with its international airport. They have territorial taxation, which is what we just discussed, and to obtain residency, they have several types of visas. They have the Friendly Nations visa, which applies to more than 50 countries, including Spain. And you can obtain this visa either by setting up a company there, getting a job contract with someone hiring you, or by investing $200,000 or more in the country. And then there's the Digital Nomad visa, which you can get by proving that you earn $3,000 a month or $4,000 a month if you're going with your partner. This visa allows you to stay in the country for 9 months and you can renew it once. So you can stay in the country for a maximum of 18 months. And for all these visas, you're required to have health insurance. The next country is Mauritius. Mauritius is an island to the south of the African continent next to Madagascar, and it's an ideal country for families. It offers spectacular beaches, good weather all year round, and a pro-business system. Regarding taxes, it's actually very interesting since everything will be taxed at 0% as long as you have an online business. If you, for example, work with Amazon FBA, run an agency, or whatever it is you do, and you live in Mauritius, you will pay 0% tax as long as the money does not enter the country. Basically, you live there, but you have a bank account in Switzerland, the United States, or any country you choose, and that money will never have to pay any taxes. Now, if you send part of the money you earn directly to the island to pay for your children's school, to buy a house, to buy a Coke, or for whatever, for rent, for anything you want, in that case, you will have to pay taxes, and the tax rate is 15%. Therefore, it is undoubtedly very attractive from a tax perspective, since it allows you to play around and only pay taxes on the money that actually ends up entering the country. Regarding residency and basically what you need to move to that country, there are several options. One of the most popular options is what they call the premium visa, which involves proving that you have a stable income. You have to show that you have an income of $1,500 per month to be able to move, or alternatively, prove an income of $3,000 per month. And if you can prove this, you will be able to obtain the premium visa not only for yourself, but also for your partner and your family. Alternatively, another option for moving to the island is to make an investment in a property therein. In other words, basically buying a house there or investing in a local business. Now let's talk about the United Arab Emirates. Without a doubt, it is one of the countries most used by people, one of the most popular countries. And the United Arab Emirates is a country that many people confuse with Dubai. People think that Dubai is a country, but in reality, Dubai is an emirate within the United Arab Emirates. It's like a state within the United States of America. Who is the United Arab Emirates ideal for? It's ideal for entrepreneurs, business owners, and even families, since it's a country that offers us pretty much everything we could want. There are tons of services. It's a country with a lot of luxury. It's very safe, one of the safest countries in the world. It's a warm country that's worth mentioning, and it has incredible education and a very, very good healthcare system. As for taxes, I'm going to explain how it works because honestly, on social media, there are a lot of people explaining things that just aren't true, basically. There are a lot of people who say that in the United Arab Emirates, you pay 0% in taxes, but that's simply not true. When we talk about taxes, in the vast majority of countries, there are two main taxes that will affect us as business owners, entrepreneurs. And when we do business, there's the personal income tax, which is basically the tax we pay as individuals. We pay this tax when we receive our salary. If we make a real estate investment, for example, if we personally buy a house and rent it out, or if we invest in the stock market, or if we do any kind of activity on a personal level, that would fall under personal income tax. In this case, the personal income tax in the United Arab Emirates is 0%. This means that if you go there and work for a company, everything you earn is yours to keep. You won't pay any tax. But then we have corporate tax, the tax that companies have to pay. It's 0% up to $100,000. This means that if your company earns $100,000 or less in profit per year, you won't pay any tax. And that's why so many people say you pay 0%. It's true, you'll pay 0% as long as you earn less than $100,000. But if you earn more than $100,000, from that amount onward, you'll pay a 9% corporate tax. So, well, basically, this is how taxes work there. 0% personal income tax, 0% corporate tax up to $100,000. And from $100,000 onward, you'll pay this 9%. Regarding residency, what you need to do to be able to live completely legally in the country, we have several options. The first is simply to be hired by a company there. Find a job there, get hired, and because you're hired, you'll get the visa and be able to live there completely legally. Another option is setting up your own company there. You can go there, start a company, and just by having a company, you'll basically be able to live there. You can do this either by starting a new business there, or if you already have a professional activity in another country, you can set up your company there, continue with your same professional activity, and then you'll also be able to get the visa. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about the Golden Visa, which is an option that's becoming more and more popular. It's the investor visa, and you'll get it if you invest in the country. You'll be granted this visa starting from an investment of $545,000. You can make this investment, for example, by buying apartments, and by purchasing these apartments and making this investment in the country, you'll be given this visa, which lasts for 10 years, but is renewable. If you continue to have this amount of money invested in the country, they will keep renewing your visa. And therefore, you'll be able to extend your stay in the country. Let's continue with Andorra. Andorra is undoubtedly one of the most popular and most commonly chosen countries by European entrepreneurs. And it's truly an ideal country for European entrepreneurs, investors, and families. It's a country that offers an incredible quality of life, a country with a lot of nature, one of the safest countries in the world, a country with fast internet, and a very stable country, which is often exactly what people are looking for. Regarding taxes, let's also talk about personal income tax and corporate tax. As for personal income tax, is a progressive tax with a maximum rate of 10%. And regarding corporate tax, it's set at a flat rate of 10%. Additionally, it's a country with no tax on domestic dividends, no inheritance tax, and no wealth tax. From a tax perspective, it's undoubtedly a very attractive country. To be able to move to Andorra, there are two main categories. There is active residency, which is for when you are professionally active. To obtain this residency, you must spend 183 days a year or more in the country. You need to either have an employment contract that is be hired by someone within the country, an Andorran company that hires you, or set up a company. To set up a company, there are several procedures, but one of them is that you have to make a deposit of 50,000 euros with the AFA, which is a deposit you make to this organization, and that will be returned to you once you leave the country. And then we have passive residency, which is for people who are not professionally active. To obtain this residency, you have to spend 90 days or more per year in the country, make an investment in the country of 400,000 euros or more, and you also have to make the 50,000 euro deposit with the IFA. The next country is Thailand. Thailand is a perfect and very popular country for digital nomads. It's a country that offers a great quality of life, super interesting. It's a very fun country. It has amazing food, good internet connection, and a very strong international community. There are a lot of entrepreneurs and many digital nomads from different parts of the world living there in Thailand. The two most popular cities for digital nomads are Bangkok and Chiang Mai. Probably the southern islands also attract quite a few entrepreneurs, but the two main hubs, so to speak, are Bangkok and Chiang Mai. And regarding taxes, they operate with the non-remitted income system. This is exactly the same as what we've seen in other countries. Basically, the income you generate that does not enter Thailand will not be subject to taxes. If you live in Bangkok, Chiang Mai, or any other city and you have an online business, and your income stays in bank accounts in the United States or wherever, you won't have to pay taxes. Now, any money that you generate locally, if you open a restaurant in Thailand, or if you send some of the money you earn to your bank account for whatever reason, like paying rent or anything else in that case, you will have to pay taxes. Thailand's taxes are progressive and go up to 35%. Regarding residency in Thailand, this is something that has changed quite a lot over the past few years. Thailand has historically been a country that has attracted many backpackers, as well as many people, digital nomads, who have gone there to make a living, because it's a country with a fairly low cost of living where you can live very well with little money. But it's true that we've been seeing how over the past few years this has been changing, and Thailand is increasingly looking to attract a different profile: entrepreneurs, high-level business people, people who earn more and more money. In Thailand, you can live on $500 a month, on $1,000 a month, but you can also live on $10,000 a month. It's a country that offers you the option to live with little or to live with a lot. So the visas have also been evolving in this direction, and they're getting more expensive. And it costs more and more money to be able to move to this country and live there legally. How does it work? They have the Thailand Privilege Card, which is basically residency. The most affordable one costs $20,000, which is 650,000 baht. And this residency allows you to live in the country for 5 years. And basically, you don't have to prove anything at all. The only thing you have to do is pay. They give you this card, this residency, and you'll be able to live in the country for 5 years without any problem. But anyway, they have several types of residencies for different durations and at various prices. The last country I'm going to talk to you about is none other than the United States. The United States is a gigantic country. The way I see it, it sits like many countries within one big country. And what I'm going to talk to you about specifically is the state of Florida and the state of Texas. These states are truly spectacular. They're ideal both for entrepreneurs and for families who, of course, have high incomes. They're states that offer freedom, states that offer legal security. If you go to Florida, which is where Miami is, it's a state with a lot of sunshine. They call it the Sunshine State. We also have Texas, if you're looking for a more business-oriented culture. And regarding taxes in the United States, they have a very unique system. Basically, there are two types of taxes. There's the state tax and the federal tax. The federal tax is the country's own tax, and you'll have to pay it no matter where you live in any state in the United States. But then we have the state tax, where each state has its own tax, right? So, for example, California has its own tax, Florida has its own tax, Texas has its own tax. However, in the case of Florida and Texas, they don't have a state tax. Therefore, you will only pay the federal tax. You'll only pay one of these two taxes. But if you, for example, live in California, you would be paying the federal tax, but you would also be paying California state tax. Regarding the federal tax, it's progressive, also divided into brackets, and ranges from 10 to 37%. In the United States, there are many different types of visas. It can be a bit overwhelming, a bit complex, but I'm going to share with you the most interesting and most commonly used ones. We have the E2 visa, which is basically the investor visa. To obtain this visa, you need to open a company and make a relatively large investment in that company. There isn't an official figure for exactly how much money you need to invest, but it's usually around $100,000. With this visa, you can move not only yourself, but also your entire family. The next visa I'm going to talk about is the L1 visa. This is a visa you can use if you have a company outside the United States. For example, if you have a company in your country that has been operating for more than a year, you can open a branch in the United States. And by opening this branch, you will be granted this visa. There are actually more options for obtaining visas. Again, there are quite a few, but one of the most popular is simply moving there and getting hired by a company. By being employed, you can obtain this well-known visa. To conclude this video, I'd like to say that the goal of all this is not to flee the country we live in out of fear, but rather to seek out the best option to achieve the greatest possible freedom. And if you feel that the place where you live is heading in a direction that doesn't make you entirely comfortable, you can move. We are not obligated to spend our entire lives in the same country where we were born. And without a doubt, the key to being able to do all this is having a source of income that allows us to choose where to live. And at least for me, the key is that it's online, whether it's an online job or an online business, but it has to be online because that's what will truly give us this freedom. For those of you interested in starting an online business, I'll leave a link in the description of this video to a complete free course of over 15 hours where we teach you how to create an online store and generate sales with it. This isn't for people looking for something quick or easy because it's neither quick nor easy. This is for serious people. It's really challenging, but for those of you who are interested and willing to take it seriously, I'll leave it directly in the description of this video. So that's it. I just want to say that we live in a time where we are free to choose where we live. Maybe in the future, hopefully I'm wrong, but maybe in the future it won't be like this anymore. And I think that if we really want to move, we need to do it as soon as possible. So that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Don't hesitate to leave a like. It doesn't cost you anything and it really helps us a lot. Don't hesitate to share it with people you think might find this content useful. And that's it. I'm Adrian Sáenz and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.